is No Bullshit Gaming Podcast 2.5 Gamers, session number 28. We are discussing latest industry news, having fun, but dropping knowledge. But let's not forget, this is 4 a.m. conference discussion vibe, so let's not take it too seriously. We have, there you go. We have Felix, Braberg in the house, Jakub, Remiar, and myself, Matej, Lančarič. No nicknames today. So, how are you? Looking forward to Gamescom already?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, super excited. I mean, this is the first Gamescom now in what, 2 years, 3 years?
I guess 3.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Something like that.
Yeah, I was sick in the last couple of days, so I was really worried that I won't make it, but I will.
Don't worry, you will be definitely sick afterwards.
Yeah, I will be sick afterwards. Yeah, that's 100%. But that's fine. Don't worry. So, okay, I think we can start.
Yep.
And let's start with a very positive news. So I think it's really great to see that our friends from Deconstructor of Fun were inspired by our format. The latest week was a discussion about the news and the educational topic about market research. So it's really great to see these type of formats for other podcasts as well. And it's a sign that we are doing something right. Thank you very much. And this is sincere because we are all friends here. And, I was also invited to TWIC 194, where we discussed the latest Google policies. And this sparked a very big discussion about data, opinions, and, if a hypercasual is going to die in October or not, and all of this. So that's why we are going to present some data points today from the hypercasual games and share our opinions again. But this time, not this time, but it's backed by data. And everything what we say here or I say everywhere else is actually backed by data. So I'm not pulling it out of my ass. Well, sometimes. Yeah, today news one about Embracer Group. Then we're going to talk about very briefly update from my side about Google, iOS and retargeting campaigns. Felix has a very big update about Admob Bidder, and then the hypercasual games data points and comments. So, Jakub, what's going on with the Embracer?
Yeah, so everyone's favorite constellation of companies that are getting bigger and bigger. Embracer reported its financials for first quarter of 2022, not second quarter, as usual companies do in these days, so keep that in mind. That was a 107% increase in net sales, which the company reported 682 million, which is more than 98 million it earned with the same period last year. The interesting part is that the biggest growth, if I get it right, is in mobile segment of Embracer. Ooh. And the PC segment, even though it makes more, like 134 million compared to 208 million, had reported only a 2% increase from year over year, which is kind of positive signal where everybody was saying that Embracer can pull up this organic growth together. So I guess
what the
that's
fuck
good.
Is organic growth?
Everybody tells about like Embracer, like we'll synchronize everything and you like pull a bunch of companies together and everything will grow.
I don't even think they synchronize payroll. Like it's all separate, right?
Yeah, some of the companies aren't even gaming companies, like mobile gaming companies. Not even gaming company. Like, yeah, as seen here, like they acquired the Asmodee Digital, which is, if I get it right, the biggest like board game company. So
board games isn't that a game?
Physical board games.
Sure, but
physical product.
Okay, but nobody say like a gaming company needs to be mobile gaming company. Come on, man.
Okay. Anyway, the other interesting news is that they announced that they acquired IP rights to the Lord of the Rings.
Ooh, so why is it so important?
I guess those were pretty pricey. That's the first thing.
Sure, but think about it. Like Lord of the Rings, they're having a TV show coming out on Amazon. And if you do that, that's going to generate a lot of buzz. People might be upset, but there's going to get a lot of viewers. And if you come out with a mobile game roughly around the same time, that's going to get a lot of downloads.
And who's going to produce the mobile game for them? That's the question. So they're buying.
Question is if it's even a mobile game. Keep in mind that they have like half of their studios
maybe it's a
PC
board
console.
Game.
Yeah, board game.
Maybe it's a board game.
Man, as a Swede, I'm just proud that everything will eventually just belong to Embracer and be Swedish. So well done.
Yeah. So if anybody from Embracer is listening to this, you can acquire my company as well, and there you go. But yeah, I can't do UA on board games though, so I'm not sure. Yeah, let's see. Let's not do that.
Anyway, it will be interesting because I think there's there's 4X Lord of the Rings game from China, if I get it right. Then there's like some other games, but not that kind of a big, super prominent Lord of the Rings game currently on the mobile market, if I get it right.
Well, there was
there's a lot of PC games coming in. I know there's that Golem game,
wait a second.
single adventure.
Warner Bros. Didn't have. Is that like the 4X game you're talking about? It's not from China.
Is it from Warner Bros? Okay,
I think so. Well, yeah. Okay. You can continue talking while I try to find
So
it.
do we have any, if they actually are making a mobile game, do we care to speculate which one of their studios they would put that heavy weight on their shoulders? Or do you think they're
multiple?
Yeah, multiple
studios. Yeah. Of course, multiple. If you buy the rights, why not do multiple? Especially if this new series from Amazon, which is the biggest budget of any series, will take off, there will be a lot of buzz around it. So I guess it's a interesting move, but let's see if it will pay off.
It was Game of Thrones, sorry. So
Game of Thrones, the Warner Bros. One,
yeah. Sorry about that.
Okay, yeah. Fingers crossed. Hope this Lord of the Rings things will work out at least. That's what I'm hoping for.
Well, we'll see. All right. So from my side, I mentioned there are some Google interesting beta programs that are coming live, or not live yet, but they are expanding to different developers, because there was the TROAS campaign type in the beta for very few developers. Now I'm getting whitelisted for some of my studios that I manage. And it's still a bit too early to say. It's not too stable, but on some accounts it shows very good potential. And just to be completely honest, the iOS campaigns, TROAS campaigns before the ATT happened, those were the campaigns you should have in your campaign mix. That was the best performing campaign type on Google for iOS, and even outperforming Facebook. Now it's it's different times. Let's see if the TROAS on iOS can catch up with other channels on the iOS. Then there is an interesting retargeting campaign, and I'm going to start running some retargeting campaigns on Google optimized for revenue, because that's something really interesting, which is the TROAS I mentioned for iOS. This is for value. It's UA only, but this is also possible on Google and retargeting side. And Google is one of the best performing channels at the moment that I see, and I want to explore all the options that are available. And my very good friends from Google are super nice to me with all their help. So why not to try everything that's available? So I will keep you posted, guys.
So just a quick question before I kind of jump into my Admob bidder update. What's your favorite Google product then?
Ooh, well, YouTube.
All right.
Google search.
Google search, yeah, well, of course.
All right. Well,
it's probably Google search, yeah.
Well, the reason I'm asking,
Google Maps is also pretty handy.
Yeah, the reason I'm asking is I promised to share some data on the closed beta on Admob Bidding, and dare I say, I'm actually starting to question myself which one of the Google products is actually my favorite. Usually I'd say search or Gmail, but dare I say now, Admob Bidder is creeping up the top list of my favorite Google products, and the results look quite interesting indeed. So first things first, the Admob Bidder is currently being tested as a closed beta on Macs. I think there's maybe 10 to 15 publishers worldwide that are testing it currently, but they have announced they're going to be expanding the beta soon. So if you are an Admob manager and a nerd like me listening to this is your calling to basically start being annoying and pushy with your Admob AM, because they are the ones who decide or can push to the influencer who decides who gets to be in the next extension. So how are you supposed to run the Admob bidder test? Well, first things first, you need an Admob SDK of at least 20.4 or over on Android, or 8.7 or over on iOS. And here comes the interesting thing. While you're running this test, you're allowed to run a hybrid setup where you're keeping your 3 Admob calls and you're testing your Google bidding, meaning that not only are you getting bidding inventory across your whole waterfall, but you're also allowed to keep your 3 traditional Admob placements. Yum, yum.
So is this the like meta build for now? Like this is the cookie cutter setup?
So basically they sent me this 3-page like how to do the A/B tests. It takes I'll get into that, but this is it's very generous of Google, who traditionally in the Admob space has been known not to be very generous unless you're on the Admob platform. Mm-hmm. So currently the supported formats is banners, interstitials, and rewarded. Also, native is available for early access, and you're also able to test on all geos, so not just on America. So you're given quite strict rules of how you're supposed to run the test. You're supposed to run the test using the Max A/B testing tool. Now, and the test is supposed to last for 15 days, which means that for the titles you're testing, you're unable to run any other A/B test for 2 weeks. So what are you supposed to do? Phase 1, day 1, you're supposed to set up an A/B test of between 5 to 25% of your user base. So if you have a big app, you're supposed to go on the lower end here. And if you have a smaller app, you're supposed to go on the higher end here. Then you're supposed to leave that for about 3 days, do a quick sanity check to make sure that, the numbers are matching up in your Admob dashboard, and kind of if you're seeing that matching up with your mediation dashboard.
Yeah, and you're not making the mistake as you described in the last session.
Yeah, like guys, your mistakes last time, I feel like there's more mistakes there. Like, no. I'm not happy with your guys' mistakes. Like, come on. If you're not losing someone 20K, that's not a mistake.
The problem with, let's say, at least game design mistakes, that you see their impact after like half a year, which then are kind of hard to attribute then who did the mistake.
Good. Diffuse responsibility. Then there's no pointing fingers. All right. Let me go back to this. So after 3 days, you're supposed to ramp it up to at least 25 or 50% if everything looks good. Then you're supposed to leave it at this level for up to 15 days when you're kind of evaluating the performance. So now to the most interesting part. What results am I seeing so far? So I am now 9 days into this 15-day test on quite a lot of titles, and it's looking quite interesting indeed. So certainly enough for me to say that the Admob Bidder is probably my 3rd favorite Google product at the moment. So so keep in mind when I'm talking through these results here, like it's only for rewarded that I'm testing, and the geo mix that I'm testing is 80% America. So Android. So after a 5% rollout, I'm seeing an average here of ad ARPDAU increases of between 4.5% to 6%. When I scale this up, this goes down a little bit to 4.5% on average. But then something magical just happens when you scale these up to 50% A/B test, and it just shoots through the goddamn moon. And basically, when you scale up to 50%, it's between 14 to 18% uplift in ad ARPDAU. Or in other words, as you like to say in Admon, a slam dunk motherfucking home run. So,
how is Android this even possible? How is this even possible?
Well, we'll get into that with kind of the concerns that I'm seeing after I'll voice some of that as well. So, iOS. So I was told to split out since I have Waterfall set up both for IDFA and LAT users. So here's where it's starting to look a bit more grim, but that kind of just reflects the industry as a whole after our good friends at Apple decided to, tear it all up. So IDFA only. So basically on like the early tests here, the 5 to 25%, I'm seeing small uplifts of anywhere between 4 to 6%. LAT only, I'm seeing downlifts of between 4 and 5%. But there's one title here that's an outlier that's down 13% when I switch on this bidder. So a blend, for some reason, you're seeing a really big uplift of 13.6% on a 50% A/B test. So in short, it looks like LAT traffic is a real struggle still for the Admob bidder, but overall, it's looking like a very, very good start. A couple of points of concerns, though. So the average CPM for the bidder is still roughly half of that of Admob placements. So let's say hypothetically, if I'm having a $20 average eCPM on Admob placements, bidders coming in around 10. So what does that actually mean? So if I were to remove this hybrid setup and only use the bidder, I'd be losing considerable amount of money. Compared, so like it's very like worth saying here that like the other like bidders I started testing when it was an early and closed beta, like they weren't this good this early because it's very hard to build a bidder. You need to do a lot of optimization. So the other bidders I was testing, it took way longer to get anywhere close to even half of these results. So I'm quite optimistic, but essentially back to your question, Matej, like how this is possible.
Yeah.
So you're keeping your Admob placements. They're losing a bit in performance, but Admob, you're only allowed to have 3 placements, so you have exposure in 3 price points in your waterfall. And the bidder then comes and just does the whole waterfall and just buys whatever it likes. So probably like usually you have Admob at quite high placements, so the bidder is getting more exposure to kind of lower quality impressions, and that's where it's coming in bidding. Did have one error happen. So one of the games I set up basically ad performance dropped to near 0 when I set up the bidding in the hybrid, and apparently that's quite normal and can happen, and it took about a week after that, and then it was just recovered to normal levels. So overall, I'll be done with the test like mid next week in Gamescom. It's looking quite promising. Well done, Google. Let's see if this becomes my favorite Google product next week.
And then after your test is done, so what then? You're going to implement it into your like business as usual waterfall, or how is that going to work?
So right now, I'd still be allowed to keep the. Actually, let me double check that.
Ooh.
Will they kick out their fixed placements if this works?
No. So right now, like even if like after this test. If the performance is acceptable, you're able to start another. So basically, you're able to keep the hybrid setup. So usually what happens then is Max at some point will decide that, this is looking good or bad. And then they basically take out the hybrid setup solution. They did that on, I think it was Vungle a couple of months ago, where they just suddenly said like, that's not allowed to use both anymore.
Okay, so then you will go with bidders only, or what's going to look like?
This is the future. Like when everything's on bidding, I'll never have to make a mistake with a placement thing again. So that's great.
Yeah, okay.
So future is less Felix altogether.
Oh yeah, definitely less of me. Who doesn't want that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. But is it good across the all titles, or is it just like very good on some? And then is it based on genre, or is it just like...
So I'm only whitelisted on one account that's primarily idle genre, so I can only speak for that, right? But like, man, it's looking quite good, man. Like, but LAT is still an issue, but like anything in Admon, when you're able to get gains of between 10 to 20%, that's like really good just for mediation. Like if you want to get bigger gains, you usually have to put new ad placements or change it up like that. But quite impressed, but LAT does look like a concern.
Okay. What can be done on the LAT side to make it work a little bit better?
Man, that's like the holy grail question. Like if I knew that, I'd probably be making a company doing it instead.
Okay, then. Well, in that case, you just need to have very high opt-in rates. So you have the IDFA, a lot of IDFA traffic.
Oh, are you trying to slide in the next topic there?
Yeah, maybe.
Done, man.
Yeah. Very sneaky. because we are going to discuss like how do hyper casual games actually make money. Because there are some discussions about what we said, and not only we said, but a lot of other guys from the industry, like defending the hyper casuals and why we think they're not going to be dead. And I think we don't need to explain the policies all over again, but there is like very big question mark on the unexpected interstitials, and unexpected could mean basically anything that is like intrusive intrusive placement, and it's like really, if you are playing the game, then it can just show into your face out of nowhere, which is fine. That's like one, but it like in the middle of the gameplay? Or I was playing now one game from Say Games, which is called Hotel Master Build the Empire, and I just finished the task, and then bam, interstitial just popped into my face. Is this unexpected, or is it like a normal placement? So I guess nobody knows. That was my biggest point, because I was talking to some of the Google reps, and even they can't explain. So is it only mid gameplay, or is this like after finishing a task also unexpected? So no one knows. And I think bigger publishers like Rolik or Voodoo or Lion Studios, or even now Say Games, well, maybe Say Games do this type of intrusive placements, but these bigger companies, I mean, they can't afford to show ads like this, because well, they're super big, and this is just like very short term strategy how to earn a lot of money. So I think it's a play for smaller publishers how to catch up with these big guys. And I think what was now in the top charts, which was the Snow Race game, that was published by some very weird Chinese publisher I've never heard about. So, I mean, yes, I guess there are still companies that are trying to sneak in a lot of different gray zone or gray area placements just to make a lot of money in a very short period of time. But it's something that's going to happen always. And there are going to be exceptions and outliers. So what do you guys think about this?
So, like the part about catching up, like I don't get it at all. Like, who's gonna catch up to what? Like, whoever are the big hyper casual companies, they just they have their grinders. Everybody's sending prototypes to them. They're testing it. They pick 1 out of 100 per month and scale it up. I don't see any catching up at all.
Okay, but you have these like weird small publishers coming out of nowhere.
Yeah, like and of course, but you don't see the other
charts.
1,000 prototypes that went into the trash.
Sure,
guys. No, this is all about retention, right? So the good A-list like hyper casual studios, they pretty much have better retention than the other hyper casual studios that are a lot smaller. So this all comes down to profit margin. Like the smaller studios who haven't yet made it, they live and die by the margins. The bigger hyper casuals have thicker margins, so they can afford to be less intrusive. Like the small gaming publishers, they tend to be more annoying placements, and these are the ones that's going to get punished.
Yeah, but keep in mind again that hyper casual is about frequency of launches, and some of these studios, they have like a chain gun, and you have like a small revolver, and that's the exact comparison.
Yeah, fair enough. But then there was a big discussion about the interstitials that are closable actually after 5 seconds. So most of these interstitials are actually closable after 5 seconds, because that is the sweet spot where you generate the most money and not losing on the retention side. Because yes, you could set it up for 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 30 seconds, whatever you want. But then when you're looking at your data, anything that is above 5 seconds really influences your retention, and that's why you go back and see like what kind of seconds actually make sense. So everything below 15, which is not policed by Google and it's closable, it's going to be fine. So you look at your data and then choose whatever works, and usually 5 second works, because then everything else between 5 seconds and 15 seconds like really influences the user experience. And that again comes down to the retention that you mentioned, Felix. But to sum it all up, I think this is only Android, and then there is a whole iOS platform which remains untouched with these Google policies, obviously. But I know ATT, blah blah blah, all these things that happened. Hyper-casuals are going to die because ATT happened. But again, they're here. Everybody's here, even on the iOS side, running pretty profitable campaigns. Yes, bigger companies have problems, but who doesn't have problems? But then I remember there
We'll
was
all die one day.
Yeah, of course. There you
The
go.
idea, keep in mind that the idea of hyper-casuals dying is very tempting for everyone else that is not making hyper-casuals.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of this.
I said those games are kind of fun. I mean, yes, they're like full of ads, but as I said, like you just turn off the internet and play. Nobody cares.
Don't share that. What are you trying to do to my industry here?
Shush.
Stop.
I'm sorry, Felix. No. Just play. Just leave
Watch
the
the
internet.
ads.
Yeah, watch a lot of ads. But you are not running any hyper casual games anyway, right?
No.
There you go. But back to the iOS and ATT. So I know Jakub wasn't you on that presentation with Christian by GameCamp or Google, where he talked about how he could get like 80% of opt-in rates on the ATT prompts and pre-prompts windows for all of their games in their portfolio. So I mean, it's definitely possible. So even with ATT, if you can work on different fronts, you can get a lot of IDFA. So anything you can add, Felix?
80% sounds really high. Do you know if that was on hyper casual?
Yeah.
Okay. That was Chris Calderon.
Yeah, like
we have those slides.
Me personally, like I've never seen higher than 56% opt-in rate. But 56% is a hell of a lot higher than what people spawned or prophesized where it would be around 15%. So yeah, 80%. That's like I wish I can do that. Yeah, maybe I need to speak to Chris again. But yeah.
He shared a lot of slides like how they actually ended up on the 80%, what kind of tests they did, and how those tests look like. I think it's online on YouTube on the GameCamp channel actually. So guys, if you want, I can put the link into the show notes. And yeah, so after talking to some of the guys from the hyper casual space, what we found out. So you have 50% ad revenue coming from rewarded videos, and then 50% coming from interstitials. But that's what they claim. So where's like the banners? I still feel.
Wait. Who said that? That what? No.
Well, I had some discussions with on my own as well.
Yeah, me too. Hearing different things. Let's compare notes.
Yeah, of course. This is this is what I found out. But I still then after some discussions, we came down to the fact that like 10% is actually like banners, then 50% is interstitials, and 40% is rewarded videos. Whatever. But still, then we found out that this one placement, which is intrusive, could generate anywhere from like 5 to 10% from the overall Android mix. So how the fuck is this going to destroy the whole genre?
But this is assuming that all your other placements are okay and you are not squeezing just this one.
Yeah, of course, because it's still like a part of the whole Admob strategy. It's not like the main pillar anyway.
Yeah, but just saying that some hyper-casual games just slap the interstitials all over them, and that's the whole thing. So those ones will get probably kicked off.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's 100%.
I see how this doomsday prophecy came to be because it's very easily done, right? So I spoke to a friend of mine who gave me some data, so he has to be anonymous. So take what you will from that. But he has great knowledge of the hyper-casual space. So yeah, I can see where the kernel of truth that sent you down this dark road, how hyper-casual is going to die, is actually how it can actually start. So he said that majority of hyper-casual revenue actually now comes from Android, and that's actually 60 or 70%. That's now the new norm. So it's quite high, right? Mm-hmm. And exactly like you said, 50% of this revenue on Android does come from interstitials. So if you take this at face value, like the situation, it looks very dire. But what they're not taking into account is like the amount of gaming or the amount of hyper casual companies that are actually utilizing these placements that are actually going to be outlawed by Google when this comes to effect on the 30th of September. So I spoke to Vincent Fervier, he's a VP of monetization at Tap Nation, not an insignificant hyper casual studio by any means, like fairly large. And yeah, they're probably only behind maybe some Turkish studio, Triple Dot Voodoo. Yeah, he's not worried at all. He pretty much reinforced what you said earlier, that like hyper casual studios with the bad retention that force use intrusive interstitial placements, like these are the ones that are going to be in trouble. And they'll be in trouble because they have no other choice, because otherwise they wouldn't like break even. He said like Tap Nation, like their interplacements, like it's always at end of levels, and they don't even have the splash screen full interstitial ads at app open. And like even Google reps are telling them that their placements are fine. So he estimates that they'll lose 0% of ad revenue come when they're actually going to start policing the change on the 30th.
Do we think that after this change, maybe there will be another change to tighten the hyper casual even more?
That's a good question.
If the stores, if your main premise is that we want to get this thing out of the store, so let's kind of try to boil the frog a little bit and then a little bit more.
Here's the funny thing. So when I spoke to Vincent, like Google's also doing this at a weird time, like typical big company corporate like shenanigans. So at the same time, they have a closed beta of a Google, what did they call it?
Reward interstitial?
No, that as well. I didn't know about this one even. So basically, they're beta testing their own app open ad format that only takes up 70% of the screen instead of 100% of the screen. So it's still an app open ad, but it takes up less percent. So it's like, is that going to be outlawed? And why is that okay? Because it only takes up 30% less of the screen. So it's just like, is that what Google's trying to do? Just push them to their own new ad format? Is that what this is all about? Like, it's just, everything just seems off. Like there's no, substance. It's just, what? There's so many different, different data points that are proving different things.
Just dumb question. If you have an interstitial in the game and you don't put it on full screen, is it going to be a problem, or is it needs to be full screen?
It needs to be full screen.
Well, okay then that's solved. Yeah. Okay. Well, I still think this is not going to be such a big problem. But again, it's not that I just pulled this out of my ass. It's just we're looking at the data from the hyper casual games. I'm going to compare some of the hyper casual game launches before the ATT and after the ATT, and how it actually changed. And because I still see a lot of hyper casual games in top charts, even these days. So I guess if the game genre is dead, I don't think like the gaming companies would put a lot of money behind those launches. But yeah, let's definitely put all of these points into an article and then have a discussion at the end of the year, like to see like what exactly happened. But then I think there's one other point, which is the arbitrage and on the UA side, which apparently makes hyper casual going to die. So let's take a look at like how the ad network structure actually looks like on the UA side, and which again I think this isn't like a main pillar for the UA, the whole ad network part. It's just a lot of other UA channels, but yeah, different publishers, different UA mix. So we can take a look at like two structures for the any ad network, like Unity, Irons, or whatever upline. So at least from my side, what I used to do. So I have this like exploration campaign, which is running on all network, which has a small budget. So I don't spend a lot of money on bullshit publishers that don't bring any revenue back. And then I have allow list campaign with top publishers with high budgets on different geos that actually produce the results and are aiming for the ROAS and LTV. So I exclude low performing publishers right away, But you could put it in the low tier campaign with low bid, see how they perform.
Traditionally, what are the low performing publishers? Is like there one genre that usually performs worse?
No, it's just it's not only one genre. It's usually a group of different genres. Depends on what kind of game you are trying to advertise. It's usually different in a different games. So, for example, for mid-core game, sometimes idle works well, sometimes it doesn't. Depends on the audience of that specific game. So I've seen one game works really well in one mid-core and it doesn't in the other one. So there you go. Depends on the LTV actually. But yeah, then if you are excluding this and you do it manually, it's fine. But bigger companies have automation for this, so it's done based on some requirements that you can just set up, or just a set of rules that is actually excluding those low performing publishers. So as soon as there is a new publisher in the network, aka it can be new hyper-casual game, which is taking all the traffic suddenly from your exploration campaign, you can blocklist exclude it after a few hundred of installs by automation, or you can do it manually. And I usually do these like types of optimization on a weekly basis. So I have low budgets on this exploration campaign, so I don't spend a lot of money on the new hyper casual game. Or not, it can be any other genre or any other game. Just now in this context, can be just a hyper casual game. So it's actually very rare to see a new hyper casual game in the network that gets too many installs until it's excluded. At least from my UA process. But this is more of a problem of UA teams and their optimization processes rather than just the whole genre. So it's not that easy to say that it's going to be like dead because this placement suddenly gets killed, and then we don't have any other new games out there anymore. But then, like, this was very simplified structure from the UA point of view. Then we have actually advanced structure where we have exploration campaign, we have testing publisher campaign, we have push campaign with the different CPI bits. We have another push campaign where we can just get more information from the exploration campaign, just move these publishers here and there. Then we could get like campaign where we have CPI based on ad rank, so where our videos are actually ranked.
Shit, I can't even spell that. Can you explain some of that?
Yeah. What do you want to know?
Just
it
ad
can
rank
be
by campaign. What? Like,
yeah, it can be actually pretty advanced. So you have auction. So you have, let's say, first 10 placements or 10 ad ranks. So if you're bidding $10, let's say in the US, you can be on the second position. And then if you bid 15, you can be on the first position. But the CPI on the first position could be just like 11. So you are not bidding efficiently. So you can, like, you have these like discussions with your monetization ad representatives. You can have the same discussion on the UA side and see like, hey guys, so what's my ad rank, where my campaign is or video is actually shown on which rank, and then I want to just move one rank above, but I don't want to pay like 10 times more. So that's one type of the campaigns you can run. Then the allow list, which is more like a whitelist campaign with like a top tier publishers, you can bid a lot higher than on the exploration campaign. And then you can have a middle layer where you just bid, let's say, 50% more than the exploration campaign, and then just get another type of audience. So it's like there's a huge advanced structure you can run on the ad network. So it's not like, yeah, well, I just exclude this and here and there, and then that's it. Hyper casuals guy.
Okay, thanks for the explanation.
Yeah, hyper casuals died like 20 times on the podcast, but never actually will.
Well, yeah, it's an interesting topic to always discuss. But UA was dead already 5 times. Here you are, and here we are as well.
I would took another angle here, like why hyper casual even exists. Like, because of the increased eCPMs. That's the main point why these games paid off, because the business model wasn't reliable before. So until this thing kind of goes in, then I don't think so. It will die.
Yeah, well, I don't think anyone relied on the ads that much. Now, apparently it's very much a very good business model. You can earn a lot of money on top of
Beautiful business model, I might even say.
Yeah, I would say it will work until we figure out something better than ads. Like, I don't know, VR.
Come on, no.
I'm going to buy a VR headset and stab you to death with it.
Yeah. I saw some articles about the VR headset being very close to the size of the glasses.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Just before we wrap up, I actually just wanted to ask Matej, what would you expect to happen on Android? Let's say we have a Red October. So let's say Google actually does end up banning 25% of interstitial inventory in hypercasual. How big of a portion is that of overall impressions, would you estimate?
In my UA world?
Yeah, in the UA world, because that's what matters at the end, right?
Yeah, well, it could be a very big hit for the ad networks. Even on the Facebook audience side, for TikTok, Pangle is not live in US still, right? So it doesn't matter that much. Google could be a problem a little bit, but there's still a lot of other placements. So even if it's 25% of the interstitials, it's not going to be 25% of the whole inventory. So yeah, again, I don't see this as a big problem. But I'm always optimistic. Maybe it's sometimes too optimistic. Well, we'll see in a couple of months.
All right. So, anything anyone else wants to add?
Yeah, I think that's it. That's it for today. See you.
We will be at the Marriott Bar Tuesday evening, Wednesday evening. If you guys want to meet up in person, high five us. We'll also be at the Deconstructor of Fun event together. We're looking forward to seeing you guys. And good session. This is actually a good one. Yeah.
All right.
No mistakes had to be made.
Yeah. Bring your VR headset.
Until next time. Bye, guys.
See ya.
Bye.